Evening and welcome to Pearls of Righteousness. Tonight I came because I feel inspired to share with you um the Hebrew alphabet, and not just the Hebrew alphabet but how it relates in the book of Psalms. Before I started learning the Hebrew alphabet, I remember in the past, when I came to read Psalms 119, and I don't know if you look in your Bible, you see it, from the beginning, you will see this letter, the Aleph, okay, and that's from verses 1 to 8, and as you go along you will see different ones, and I always used to wonder, what is that, what does it mean, but I never did any search or to look into it. I just took it as that, for a for a long time. I never paid any real attention to it. Some of you maybe thinking, wow, or some of you maybe just like me, so you understand where I'm coming from. Nevertheless, when I started learning the Hebrew, uh, um, obviously you got to start with the alphabet, and because I have now have the alphabet kind of printed up on my bedroom wall, so it's facing my bed. So when I sit up on the bed or the last thing I will see is that, because it is that it's not hard, but it's like you have to relearn. It's so much different to the English alphabet, right? And I'm still at the very, very beginning stages where the alphabet is concerned. Nevertheless, I'm fascinated by it, because I find that now I try to, look for words and stuff like that. Nevertheless, what I want to share with you is, oh yeah, and before we go into that, just to give you to say that the Hebrew alphabet, historically it is regarded as the language of the Israelites and their ancestors, okay, historically, and we know that this Hebrew language is spoken in Yisrael or Israel and Yehuda, Judah, about 12,000, no, 1200 to 586 BCE, right? And we know that Hebrew also was from the Northwest Semitic language. It was a Northwest Semitic language, which is a native of Israel. Okay, Israel. Okay, so I just want to show you this. I'm going to start with the first letter, and then next time I will do a different the bet. Tonight we're going to start with the Aleph, which you can see up on my picture board, right? But the thing about this, the testimony is that, one day I sat on the floor and I was reading Psalms 119, and again I saw this this letter. That time I didn't know it was a letter, and I was like, wait a minute. So now my eyes is open basically to that's the Hebrew alphabet. I was like, wait a minute, that looks like the Aleph. Because before I never, I saw it, and I always used to wonder, what is these things mean? But I never looked into it. And I was like, wait a minute, that's the Aleph. And so when I go to the next verses, I was like, wait a minute, that's the bet. And as I started going through it, I realized that it was literally the Hebrew alphabet. And I would just want to encourage you guys, those of you who have come into the truth about who you are, and now walking in this truth of our ancestors and who we are and stuff like that. I would encourage you, if you have never looked at the Hebrew before, if there's anything that you want to learn right now, or like, to take up a new form of study or anything, I would encourage you to take up the Hebrew language. It's so powerful, it's beautiful. I found there is so much to it that it's blowing even my mind. Anyway, so tonight what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, because in the Hebrew, right, what I found, or what is a fact, or what is truth about it, is that in the Hebrew alphabet, and in the Hebrew alphabet, there are 22 letters, okay? Unlike the English alphabet, we have 26, okay? So in the Hebrew alphabet, usually the letters also have a picture that goes with it, and each letter has a meaning, right? That's another fascinating thing about it. Sorry, excuse me. So, but what I found is that I was looking at it as to why there are, sorry, why are there each letter in at the top of a set of verses, like stanzas, is in stanzas. So I was like, whoa, what's going on? And then I began to look at the meaning of the letter and stuff like that, and the verses that go with it. And I thought to myself, wow, when David was writing this, the Father is so, he just left it in there for us. It's just for us to find it out, Nevertheless, I'm going to start with the Aleph, okay? That's the letter there, the Aleph. And that's the picture that goes with it. It's the picture of an ox head, right? And its meaning is that it's of that of strength. This is what the Aleph means. Strength, it means leader, like strong leader, and might, okay? And if you can think of an ox, what does the ox do? The ox does the hard work. The ox is, the one who plows the field. Think of everything that you can think of the ox goes with it, since the picture graph is that of an ox head, right? Now, my fascination is how it relates in the Psalms. So let's look at Psalms 119, and from verses 1 to verses 8. And it says, so remember, I showed you that the actual letter means strength and leader and might, right? Like the strong leader kind of thing. So when we look at what David was saying here, he said, blessed are the undefiled in the way, who walk in the law of Yahuwah, right? Blessed, or rather I should say Baruch, are they that keep his testimonies and that seek him with the whole heart. From verse 3. They also do no iniquity, they walk in his ways. And if you read, as you're reading through all of these verses, it's showing you basically what a leader, all of these verses has the attributes of an ox, of a leader, right? These are the things that a leader would do. Somebody who's in leadership and who has that authority, that strength and might and stuff. So it says, they also do no iniquity. A leader should be a person who wouldn't want to be seen to be doing iniquity against the Father, right? Iniquity is sin. We know is lawlessness. Thou hast commanded us to keep thy precepts diligently. So leaders are supposed to keep the commandments of the Father diligently, right? He said his commands are not grievous, it's for our good. So you see, when we're saying that, the 10 commandments and the laws are obsolete. No, because it's showing you right here in the book of Psalms 119, all of the Hebrew alphabet is each, like I said, each letter has a meaning, and we're starting with the Aleph. Okay, the Aleph. And you see it's saying in verse 5, it says, oh, that my ways, this is a leader, my ways were directed to keep thy statutes. You see, let my ways, my actions, my attitude, what I do, right, be directed to keep your laws, your statutes, these laws, right? Then shall I not be ashamed when I have respect unto all thy commandments. See, it's talking about keeping the commandments and keeping the precepts, keeping the law. This is what a leader should be doing. Have the focus to obey the Father's orders and his laws. If you look at those 8 verses, and verses 7 is saying, I will praise thee with uprightness of heart when I shall have learned thy righteous judgment, as a leader. And verses 8, it says, I will keep thy statutes. Oh, forsake me not. You see? And all from verses 1 to 8, you can see he's talking about it. As a leader, this is what he's aspiring to, please the Most High, to stand in that place and to do the right thing, basically, And so I was really like kind of taken back with that. And if I go back to verse 3, it says, a leader, they also do no iniquity, they walk in his ways. That's a leader right there. And so what I find with this, as I went through it, and I look at the meaning of each letter, and I look at the verses that go with it, it kind of is showing you, basically, is giving you the direction and the order in the way that you must go. And for the first one is to do with the leader. And as leaders, as children of the Most High in leadership, these are the things we must strive for, to do his commandments, to carry out his precepts and his laws, and don't do iniquity. That means don't sin. So if you've never looked at Psalms 119 like that before, look at it along with the alphabet of the Hebrew alphabet, and it's showing you, because like I said, each letter has its own meaning, and those verses corresponds with the meaning of that letter. Basically, is another Father has left us right in the middle of the Bible guidance on how we must go. Okay, and so I just want to leave you with that, and the next time I come, we will do the next letter and look at those verses. But I just want to encourage you tonight to look at Psalms 119 again and look at the instructions. And now that we see the alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet, of the language that the Israelites used from way back then, you'll see what the Father has left us here. He has left us guidance on the way we must go using his alphabet. Okay? And so on that note, I would just like to leave you with that and to say, be strong and strive to be that strong leader, that leader that stands in might of the things of Yahuwah, and to please the Most High. Okay? And so on that note, I'd like to say to you, hasta la vista. Bye-bye.